Hey everybody, hail and welcome to this week's episode of Midgard Musings. Thank you so much for tuning in and watching today. My name is Jesse and I'm the host here on this channel. I upload videos every week that usually cover things of Norse heathenry, Northern Germanic paganism, that sort of thing. So if that's something that is your interest as well, I encourage you to subscribe to the channel and ding the bell for notifications so that way you're notified every time I upload new content. Down in the description you'll see a bunch of things to check out as far as ways that you can support Midgard Musings. You can become a patron on Patreon. There's PayPal you can send donations to, just small ways that help support keep this channel going. There's merchandise available through Teespring and Redbubble. There's a buy me a coffee link there for like $3 donation. You buy me a coffee, it helps support me in that way. In addition, if you just subscribe, share, and comment on the videos, that is a huge help because it keeps these videos circulated out into the eyes and ears of everybody who's into this sort of thing. So your support in all those ways is greatly appreciated. I thought today's video would be a fun one because we're going to be talking about a holiday that is celebrated in the pagan/heathen circles quite often. You'll see it may be called different things, but Freyfaxi is one of them. Lammas is another one. Lunesa is another one. We're going to get to talking about some of those holidays and whatnot and why they're called different things. Mainly it comes from the regional or historical approach to things, but because it's getting to be close to what a lot of folks will, at least in this part of the world, look at as the harvest time of the year. We're starting to, for those that grow gardens or crops, we're entering into that time of year where we're starting to reap and harvest those crops. So let's talk about Freyfaxi. You will see in some graphics online, you'll see like this image of a heathen calendar. I've done a little bit of discussion on heathen holidays, or really mainly the Yule time of the year. But there's other great sources out here that you can check out. Eric Shervin over at the Ravens Call has an episode which I will try to link up here in a card for you to check out on heathen holidays. And but anyways, Freyfaxi is an American Asatru holiday. All right, and it's based on the American Wiccan holiday Lammas, like I mentioned earlier. And so Lammas means loaf mass. It's a holiday celebrating harvest, and is quite often done by making of bread. The wheat that was specifically harvested around this time of year. Traditionally, I believe it's held closer to the month of August, around 1st of August, but as of the recording of this video, we're getting to the end of July, and I thought as we approach this time of year, why not talk about it, all right? So in the early days, when Asatru started kind of becoming popularized in the United States and in America, the folks that were practicing that kind of borrowed the Lammas thing from Wiccan holidays. You'll see a lot of bleed over, especially into the American Asatru versus what is practiced in Europe and overseas, kind of where the land of the origins of Norse paganism come from. But so the modern Asatru, we're borrowing things from these various other pagan practices or pagan sects, all right, and wanted to try to find an appropriate heathen name for this harvest time festival. And they knew that in ancient times, kind of specifically in the Germanic pagan circles, you would see a lot of veneration or high regards for horses, and they were used a lot for sacrifices in arch-heathen times. And in one of the sagas, I think it's in Hrefnkel saga, there's a name of a horse called Freyfaxi. It was a horse that was basically dedicated to Freyr, and so they figure, okay, well, why not? Let's call this harvest holiday that we are now going to observe as something that rings a bell to us from our sagas and things that we're trying to follow from. So they're pulling something from one direction and getting information from the sources that they're learning things from and combining it together to create this modernized harvest festival sort of thing. Now, Lammas Day, you will see quite often. I believe it's the Anglo-Saxon models of heathenry. They will tend to have what's called a Hofmass or loaf mass, and there's the literal celebration of the wheat and the harvest months and everything. I'm not a Saxon heathen. I'm not a hardcore historical heathen, so I don't go too far deep into a lot of the historical stuff when it comes to the holidays, but I do find there's value in knowing at least what you're celebrating, what you're doing. So if you know a Saxon heathen or want to talk to one, you can reach out to me and I might be able to send you in the right direction, because I know a couple that are very much into the historical reconstructionist aspects of heathenry and are Thadish in their practices. They are Saxon heathen, so they have a bit more information to share with you on this specific thing. But it all has these similarities in, like I said before, where the Asatru, the modern Asatru people were trying to get into this sort of thing and borrowing it from Wiccan, pagan harvest festivals. You'll see names like I said before, Lunessa, and it's a Gaelic festival celebrated around the harvest time, specifically and historically in areas like Ireland, Scotland, Isle of Man, and so these were pagan festivals for sure, but this was not something that you will see probably observed by hardcore recon Norse Germanic heathens. Okay, I myself, again, not being one of those types, but since I lean more towards the Norse Germanic model of heathenry, and not the Saxon type, and not just the kind of the willy-nilly out here just doing whatever for the sake of whatever type, I'm kind of that middle of the road individual, if you will. Somebody asked me last week, which is part of the reason or the inspiration of doing this video, somebody asked me last week if I was doing anything for Freyfaxi around the 1st of August, if I had any plans, and I was kind of like, well, no, why would I? It's not something that I personally take as an approach to holidays, because, historically speaking, the Norse didn't have anything, at least that we know of documented wise. They didn't have anything that they celebrated during this time of year that mirrors these Gaelic / Wiccan holidays. Okay, they matter of fact, the only real, I think there's 4 major holy tides that are documented in England Saga, and that is the Yule, which was celebrated for 3 nights, not 12. You've got the Alfablot, Sigarblot, and the Winter Nights, right around the October-ish time of year. That was the time of celebrating the harvest from the year and preparing for the winter months ahead. So when I'm asked, what are you doing for this specific holiday, that's not a Norse Germanic holiday, I thought that it would be great to come out here and sort of explain why. Is it technically wrong for you to celebrate it? Are you a bad heathen for celebrating, Freyfaxi or Lammas or any other sort of summer harvest festival thing that you add to your practice? Does it make you a bad heathen for doing that? No, I don't look at it that way. And how other people do their stuff, how they practice their tribal traditions, their own house traditions, what they do every day. I do plenty of things in my daily practices that I'm sure have no backing in any historical sense. It's kind of like how we talked about in last week's video on UPG, and that is that there are things that need to exist for heathenry to survive, and I feel that UPG is one of them, as long as it's kept within its proper boundaries, and that it's, you know, that you're not just making up stuff for the sake of making it up. If it fits for you and it makes you feel connected to your ancestors and to the gods and to the whites of the land in your home, keep on doing it, you know. So if Freyfaxi is something that you individually practice, or if it's a tribal tradition for your kindred or tribe to celebrate it, by all means continue doing so if it brings your community together, because that is what is important. That is what is at the core of heathenry, is that is, you know, people gathering together, the community, your tribe. All of these things are such critical importance to us as heathens. So I don't let anybody discourage one. I try not to let anybody discourage me from what I do and how I do it, because if it works for me, it works for me. It's not my hall, not my call, not your hall, not your call. Quoting Eric Sherman on that one, so thank you, Eric, for that. But you guys, this time of year, we are oftentimes, like I said before, we're gathering our crops in. We're starting to see the fruits of our labor come to fruition, and we're able to enjoy the hard work that we put in up to this point. I myself have a garden, and we've been doing really well with our zucchinis and tomatoes, even though there are some of the plants that have, you know, hit some hard times. But in general, we are getting good crops. I also am growing peppers, and they're going to be doing really well here soon. They're getting to that time of year where they'll start, you know, coming on. So a lot of folks out here are doing stuff like that, and this is the time of year when you may want to practice something or do something to honor the gods and the whites of the land and stuff for, you know, bringing about a good harvest season. Go ahead and do that if that's what you want to do. Call it what you want to call it. Do your loaf mess, do your Freyfaxi, do your Lunes, do whatever it is that you like to do. And if you do these things, I'm actually interested to hear and see about what it is you do. So please drop your comments down below in the comments section and tell me and tell everybody else that watches these videos, how do you, if you do, celebrate the harvest time of year in your own pagan practices. I think I speak on behalf of a lot of folks that say we would love to see and hear about what's going on out here in all different parts of the world. So thank you everybody for listening to and watching today's video. Thank you all so much for your support. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up. If you don't want to see if you don't want to miss anything else, if you don't want to see anything else, then just leave, that's fine. But if you don't want to miss anything else, click the subscribe button, ding the bell for notifications so that way you're notified when I upload new content. I'll see you all in next week's video. Everybody that's watching live on Facebook, don't go anywhere in case I have to see any of your comments. Thank you all again for your constant support with Midgard Musings. Hail. We'll see you in the next week's video.